And so I speak this to you. Month after month, we speak of the flowers, we bring the blessing, and we will bring it to you this evening. We bring the blessing to each one of you, and we ask you to imprint the blessing of the flower that comes to you. Listen to its song, listens to its word, listens to its poetry. Listen to the message that it gives to you, and bring that message into your heart. Find the vibration of that flower, whether it be a poppy, a lily, a morning glory, a jasmine, a rose, a tulip, a stargazer, a bird of paradise, a violet, an iris, a daisy. Whatever it is, it has a message. If you are not hearing the message in your heart or vibration, go find out about its essence and begin to work with its essence. Use its image for a meditated image to hold in your third eye and your heart when you are seeing the horrors on your earth, when you are seeing the distortions, all those things that are on the earth, the greed, the death, the destruction, the power struggles, the torture, the pain. All those things are distortions of love. When you are feeling love, when you are being love, when you are exuding love, when you become love, you see how it's all one and how it changed. You see how death is glorious and birth is glorious. You see the unity in them and you understand the wholeness. The flowers teach you of impermanence. In your part of the world, you are moving into the time of harvest. In your part of the world, this is considered the harvest moon. As it is an eclipse, and it is a full moon, it is also the harvest moon. As you are thinking of the harvest and what you have wrought in the last 90 days or so, since the summer came to its peak, when you are thinking of that now, begin to open your hearts to the equinox that is coming up. Begin to open your hearts to finding balance with what you are harvesting now and what you are taking in and what you are giving out, what you are cycling through your chakras and through your heart. I am Quan Yin. The physical world is changing. The physical world vibratory field is changing. For a while, as it changes, it may look distorted. And you look around and see those distortions. You see them in people who are out of balance and who are distorted within themselves. Their divine nature distorted, and so they think they have to go after power, or greed overcomes them. They attach so deeply to the pain of the earth, they become deeply depressed and ill. They attach so deeply to the need to be something, to be powerful, to be something to be looked at, that they grasp in greed, in their greed. Recognize them through the eyes of compassion as distortions of their divine nature, of distortions of their love, and understand that the changes on the earth are looking blurry. As something comes into clarity, there is a shift where it moves from one lens to another, and before that lens becomes clear and sparkling, there is that distortion. That is what you are seeing around you. Turn your eyes to perfection as much as possible. The flowers ask you to come back to them and come back to the garden so you can come to perfection. You can understand the impermanent nature of perfection and the permanent nature of perfection. Once your chakras come to the level that they are capable of, the level of expressing divinity within the form of humanity, then you become an ascended master in the physical form. There are those of you whose chakras have shifted into divine. Parts of your chakra system have already moved into divine. Those of you who have done this often feel a harder time and place to be on the earth, often feel what you call struggle or confusion, as other parts of your chakras seek to align with the intensity of the light of your higher chakras. To make that more sensible, I will say this to you. If you are struggling and in pain because you have touched spirit, if you know that spirit exists in one part of your being, if you know that the light exists, that I exist, that the garden exists, that the archangels exist, and you know that you have touched them in your dream times, in your meditations, in your moments of prayer, in moments of great joy in your connection with other human beings, and indeed all of you do know this. If you know this, that means that the divine nature, the divine seed, has bloomed in one or more of your chakras, and those chakras are becoming beautiful. We see for here the exquisite beauty of the open chakras, of the lotus energy of your chakras as the petal moves back. Now, when one chakra begins to accelerate at that rate, often the ones that are accelerating at a slower rate will feel the intensity of their distortion from the divine. They will feel it, and oftentimes you will become ashamed in human form. Remember the story of Adam and Eve. Remember the garden was there, and the angel, and the temptation to embrace knowledge fully, to embrace the knowledge of good and evil, to embrace the knowledge of duality. Once that happened, the higher chakras that still vibrated within those human beings experiencing that created a shadow over the lower chakras, and there was shame. Leaves were taken to cover the chakras. Layers were taken to dampen down the chakras, for the feeling of shame and the feeling of separation was too great. The feeling of being separate from the divine nature. In the stories, the shame was to be separated from the God. In truth, you were separating from your own divine natures and covering up parts of yourself, keeping those parts of the self away from the divine as you became ashamed or heavy, as you became hurt. As you became ashamed and hurt, you then became angry. And so you began to experience the opposite of love. And so you began to experience fear, the opposite of love, and all its many faces. Do you not recognize that those power mongers, that those who perpetrate pain and torture on others, that those who lie and cheat and steal and seek to overpower others, to take away, to own, to control, do you not recognize that they are ashamed, that on the very deepest level they are in fear? To hold yourself in love during times of fear, when others are capitulating to fear, is very, very powerful, a miracle. To hold yourself in love within yourself when you are seeing the parts that you fear are not divine, that you fear are not lovable, that you fear are not whole. To hold that vibration is what transforms. And so back to the metaphor of the garden. Being able to stand fully in the truth, in duality. Being able to stand fully in the truth of your divine nature, in duality. And the divine nature of others, in duality, though it may be covered with layers of dead leaves and mud, with layers of distortion and fear and hurt and anger, though there may be scar tissue over these chakras, the seed is within all. As the vibration and the tone rises on the planet Earth, there is a rising in vibratory sounds. You have been spoken to of the vibration that surrounds the Earth has been changing. Its frequency has been changing. Many of you have been somewhat restless lately, or feeling headachy often, or confused or blinky, because you are hearing tones or vibrations. The way a dog hears a tone or vibration that the human cannot hear, you are hearing some of those higher vibrations that you cannot hear with your human ear yet, in your etheric ears, in the vibrations of your chakras. So it might be safe to say, to help you understand, that each of your chakra has a tremendous awareness and a divine nature of its own. When those divine natures are activated all at once, the main 8 chakras in the body, then you become that ascended master. You walk through the walls. You are not hampered by the material. Do not be frustrated with yourself if you are not yet walking through stone or walking through the walls. You are walking through something that is even more challenging. You are walking through the vibration of fear. If you can walk through the vibration of fear, which is raising its noise on the planet, as well as that higher vibration, as the higher frequency raises, the frequency on the earth, the frequency of noise, of fear, becomes louder. The lamenting, the crying, the sounds of the sirens, the explosions, the grating sounds of trees being cut down, and engines and motors overriding the peace and the vibration and the harmony of gardens, of forests, of your own hearts and consciousness.